All right, guys, hello. Welcome to Caitlin's Corner. This is our first stab at it, so please be patient with us as we bring you Caitlin's Corner, which is a show every other week. It's all about helping nonprofits increase their impact. That's what Angel Oak Creative is all about. And what we wanted to do was provide a platform for nonprofits or the community to send in questions, and I'll try to answer them live. We're going to see how good I am at answering questions live on the spot. And again, thanks for your patience and bearing with us. We are excited today to talk about stewardship and just how important stewardship is to preparing nonprofits for a big year end. It's not just about year end, of course, stewardship, loving your donors well, thanking them, reporting back to them. That's all, and vision casting, right? Where is your organization going? These are important to do throughout the entire year, throughout the entire cycle of really building champions for your organization and your missions. But since it's the fall, well, late summer, early fall, and we have a runway leading into the end of year, we thought this would be a great time to talk about stewardship. So I have some questions already prepared that we hear all the time from our clients, and my colleague Justin will also be kind of shouting out questions as they come in. So let's give this thing a go, and also at any point in time throughout today's show or in the future, if you have feedback on how we can make it better, please send that in. If you don't like this shot with the window in the background, let us know. This is a corner in my office, so we thought we'd just get real personal, okay? All right, guys, so here we go. First question, what is nonprofit stewardship and is it essential? So stewardship is a means of really developing your donor relations, okay? So it's a two-way street. Relationships are two-way streets, right? We want to develop transformational donors, not transactional donors. We want donor retention. We want donors who are getting involved with your organization because they believe in what you do, they believe in where you're going, and they want to be invested for more than just a one-time check. That's what we call transactional. They want to give their time, their talent, and their treasure to your mission and your organization. And so we have to take care of them, right? They're taking care of us. They are helping our missions come to life. They're helping us increase our impact. So what do donors, expect from you in return? As an organization, it's really important to do three things as you're stewarding your donors. You want to report to your donors, right? You want them to know how their donations have impacted your organization. That happens a lot of times through annual reports. Nonprofits have a fiduciary responsibility to let their donors know how their funds are being used. Their records are available to the public online. You also want to report impact, and so we do a lot of impact reports. Storytelling is a tremendous way to invite your donors into your mission, to see your mission in action, and to see the impact they're making. So tell stories, share impact, make sure you're not just talking about outputs. Talk about outcomes, right? Your organizations are about people, and people matter. So while numbers are important, the quantitative data, the financial data is important. Guess what? So are the stories, and we've got to find a healthy blend. Absolutely essential. You want to thank your donors. One of the questions we had is, when is it too late to thank donors? Here's what I'd say about that. It's too late to thank a donor when you're ready to make an ask again. You never want a donor to feel like you're just thanking them so that you can get more money from them. I mean, how authentic is that? It's not, right? So you want to be timely in a thank you. I mean, as a gift or a check comes in, you certainly want to send, an acknowledgement letter that you received the donation. You want to send a thank you card, personalize it. Let your participants in your organization personalize it. One thing we love to do, and one thing I've seen done really well, an organization called Converting Hearts Ministries. When you make a donation, they have somebody in their program who is actively working towards a life of recovery send a thank you card, handwritten by them. Depending on the level of donation, depending on how you treat your major donors, you want to maybe have a board member get on the phone and call and thank, right? Get an in-person meeting with a development director or a participant just make sure you get some of that face time too. So that's really important advice on how to thank. Never wait till you need more money to thank a donor, because they will see right through that. The third important piece of stewardship is vision casting, okay? Your donors want to know where your organization is going. They certainly want to know short term how their donations were used to increase impact. 3 years down the road, we may have just paused there because I had a call come in. People were blowing me up. Sorry if that happened. But what we were saying is make sure that you vision cast for your donors. Donors want to be a part of a big picture and a big story. So make sure that they can see where you'll be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Justin, do we have any questions that are coming in?
One question.
Okay.
What is the most important thing you can do for fundraising? Is there just one thing that would be most impactful?
Yeah, I mean, I really, in my opinion, it's the stewardship piece. It's taking care of the donors you have. Donor retention is critical. It's easier to keep a donor than it is to get a new one. You know, the same goes for employees at an organization. It's easier to keep the employees you have, take care of them, grow them, than it is to try and hire new people. So I would say, you know, steward your resources well. I think a big red flag for donors is not being thanked, not being reported to, not, understanding the vision of where you're going. If you're talking about getting new donors into your organization, I think the best way to do that is have your current donors speak on your organization's behalf, right? And if you're stewarding your current donors well, they will absolutely want to speak on your behalf. They will want to share with the community why they invest, why they believe in what you do, why you're the best at your mission. So, number one thing in fundraising, most important thing, take care of the donors you have, steward them well, and let them be the champions and the advocates to amplify the reason they give to your organization to help you draw new donors in. Any more questions?
That's it.
Coming in? All right, so let me look at another question I have already prepared for you. So what are some key ways to cast your organization's vision? This is a great question. Video is, in my opinion, and I think in this day and age, the most compelling way to storytell. I would cast a vision by storytelling, right? Storytelling how successful the organization has been at what they do, and how that organization can absolutely own this mission, put a stake in the ground for years to come. You know, we say this all the time, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but if nonprofits are doing their job well, they're putting themselves out of business, right? Let's not just bite off a piece of tackling poverty, right? Let's eradicate poverty. That is a huge mission. Vision should be attainable, but they should also be scary. And now that I say visions to be attainable, I'm going to take a step back. And this is me being on the spot here. I think that visions should be so exciting and so big that even if they're not attainable, Adidas's vision is to crush Nike. Let's just put it that way, okay? That's not a really smart metric. I mean, how do we do that other than, I guess, market share and financial, success? But it should really be something that's almost so big it's intangible, but you can show measurable ways of getting there. So, how do you paint vision? You let your participants tell the stories. You absolutely want to put yourself out of business as a nonprofit. Think that big, right? If your donors believe they could eradicate poverty, they may give bigger gifts to get you there, right? So think really big. Be scared. Put a BHAG out there, a big, hairy, audacious goal, and then show over the course of quarters and years how your impact numbers and how your annual report numbers are tracking towards that vision. Little long-winded on that one. If I had the answer, then all of our clients would be able to raise as much as they wanted to and then some. But we do have some proven, best practices that we can give you advice on today. More questions? All right, so let's see. I know I had another good one here. What are some ways to report back to your donors? So again, we're talking about stewardship, right? I touched on these briefly a couple minutes ago, but annual reports are a great way to report back to donors. Impact reports are a great way to report back to donors. I think the biggest difference between those is, an annual report is really focusing on your fiduciary responsibility. Impact report is focusing more on outcomes, right? We see a lot of blended annual report, impact reports, where you are doing both in one bigger report. So you could consider doing two smaller reports, annual and impact. You could blend both of those into one larger publication report where you're sharing story and fiduciary responsibility. A lot of time, depending on the size of the donor, you may want to have quarterly meetings where you are, reporting back to them on how their donation has really moved the dial over the past quarter. You certainly want to get some FaceTime with them at least twice a year. Other ways, and we as marketers are really firm believers of multifaceted touch points, right? So the more touch points you can do and via as many communications channels as you can, the better the result. So if we're talking about, reporting back, report back through print, report back through a phone call, report back through face-to-face, report back through digital, email, social, right? And again, capacity is limited. So, you're not gonna have time to do all of those touch points for every single one of your donors. That's when segmentation is really important. Create a plan to report back to donors, between $1,000 and below donors, right? $2,500 and below donors, $10,000 and below. I mean, you need to have your giving levels, and then you need to understand, how am I going to be reporting back to these segmented audiences, and how's that going to be different, and how am I going to keep adding a measure of reporting back to donors who are giving at a higher level. They expect more back from you. Doesn't mean they care more, right? All gifts are important, even the gifts of time and talent. So make sure you're not just reporting back to your champions who are giving you, supporting you financially. Make sure that you're reporting back to the volunteers, how their time has really impacted your nonprofit's mission. And, that's stewardship, right? Steward your volunteers and watch them become your next round of financial donors. It's how it works. It's a full circle. Justin, anything else?
One more question for you. Do you have a nonprofit organization that you can think of that has done a really good fundraising campaign that you can provide an example for?
Sure. I'm going to take a step back to last September, National Recovery Month. The client is Healing Transitions. What we decided to do in that month was really try to focus on getting new donors. And so we created a Day of Giving campaign that ended the month. So for the whole month, it was really, creating noise, creating excitement, creating momentum. And what we did was really tee up at the end of the month, we're going to have a Day of Giving, and we're really hoping that, the word spreads. That Day of Giving, I wish I had prepared numbers ahead of time. So maybe next Caitlin's Corner, I'll report back on the specifics of that. But that Day of Giving generated a lot of new donors. I want to say maybe upwards of 50 new donors in one day. Now the donations, the range of donations, small to larger, but it didn't matter. That day was about getting people, inviting people into the organization, inviting people into the mission, and then stewarding them from there. So Healing Transitions does, in September, a National Recovery Month campaign. They have an end-of-year campaign that they do, which is See Recovery. It's all about awareness on the misperceptions of recovery and what it really means and feels like to recover and what that journey is like. And then they also have a campaign in the spring called Commit to Recovery. So it's about monthly donors. So I'd say Healing Transitions as a case study is using campaigns in a lot of different ways. They're trying to get monthly donors. They're trying to get new donors. And then at the end of year, they focus on their major donors and moving those donors. So that is the example that came to mind. They do an excellent job of thank you cards come from participants. If you are a new donor of Healing Transitions, you will get a packet in the mail within a few weeks of being a new donor. And it's called, it's a packet and it's titled Welcome to the Village. I don't know many organizations, it doesn't matter what level of gift you've given, you will receive a Welcome to the Village packet from Healing Transitions. I don't know many organizations that are stewarding their donors to that level, even a donor who's giving, under a $100 gift. So, again, long-winded, but that's my example for fundraising done right. We are so pumped about Caitlin's Corner. Thank you for bearing with us today and being patient. We will work out all the kinks. We hope that you will join us every other week. I've got 2 announcements. One is a heads up for next Friday. That's August 16th. It is National Nonprofit Day, and we are doing free headshots from noon to 4 o'clock here at Angel Oak Creative at our office. Come see the corner for yourself. We did this last year and really had a lot of the community take advantage of it, and then share with us how much it meant to actually be celebrated. So our goal is to celebrate nonprofits on National Nonprofit Day, and that's why we're offering a valuable service to them, some photography on us, because you guys are the heroes on the front lines, and you guys, you're helping us fulfill our mission, which is to focus on people mattering and to just help missions, nonprofit missions, increase their impact. One other thing I wanted to remind you of is to please send your questions in throughout the week. Don't just wait till Caitlin's Corner to send us questions. We're collecting them throughout the week, so all you have to do is drop an answer in the comments section to any of our posts, and we will make sure to answer them in 2 weeks at next Caitlin's Corner. It'll be our second stab at it, and so maybe we'll have some improvements, but really be thinking about what you love most about fundraising. That's what we want to focus on in 2 weeks. What do you love most about fundraising? And I'll tell you what we do. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Caitlin's Corner, can't wait to see you again in 2 weeks, and hopefully next Friday for headshots. All right, bye-bye.